And good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my Facebook live stream. And my name is Jimmy Cheng. I'm a professional photographer, filmmaker, and an Olympus ambassador. So if you're new here, this stream is all about anything to do with photography or filmmaking, any sort of creative stuff. And in fact, we're just going to have a general chat, a friendly chat about anything relating to those stuff that I just mentioned. Not just about Olympus and Michael Four Third, about anything. Right, anyway, so I just welcome a few people first. I can see some regulars here already, and Hart, Ralph, and also Brad. Excellent stuff. Wow, cool. Okay, so I do have a specific topic to talk about today, and this may or may not interest you. So it's going to be a little bit personal, of course. And I know there are people who asked me before, and I personally actually was one of those people who being educated, of course, in early on in my career about investing in lenses and cameras and things like that. And so there are people who may actually misunderstood about investment in monetary terms simply because they thought that they could make money or maybe just by buying some sort of rare items and things like that. So we're going to have a little general discussion about that particular topic, and even just think in general whether you think buying and selling good lenses and good cameras would be a very viable business or just good for your wallet in general. So this could be an interesting talk today. Hopefully that this is something that we can have a good discussion. Let me just turn on my fan a little bit. I don't know why it's feeling a little bit stuffy today, and the horrible weather's out there. I'm gonna have to film in a minute and outside my back garden again for my next episode. So if you guys are waiting for my new video, it's coming very soon. Hopefully you're gonna like that too. Okay, right, and let's have a look at what Hart said actually, because it's quite good to have some sort of starting point here. So Hart actually said, buying and selling is quite a big comment here. Buying and selling is a journey for Hart, and I don't know, I enjoy photography business, especially during the JIP panic, but it's a good idea. There are some good deals on Olympus gears. I'm pretty sure there are some panic buy and sell at the moment, and buy, of course, people who believe in Olympus, and they could probably think that they can probably snap some sort of good deals at this moment in time, especially on the second-hand market. But you all know that this could be the moment when people are panic buying and selling, and people who are selling will potentially lose more money than buying them actually. Because as you can see, what Hart actually said, he managed to find something, a Pen F 17 and 45 1.8, all in mint condition for 465, which is, I think, is actually a steal for that price. And you can see that he can actually sell both lenses for around about 290, and that means he could probably got the camera for free. That is pretty cool deal actually. And also he also found the 40 to 152.8 plus an MC14 for just under 600 quid. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I think Hart, you got some really shockingly good deals there, mate. So it's actually very, very interesting. But this is something that I think I learned in the past, and just give you a little bit of my own experience, so to speak. So when I was a Canon guy, and I remember when I first started my photography journey, I bought DSLR. Sorry, not DSLR. Analog, I'm talking analog, SLR stuff. So my very first camera was the Canon EOS 50E. It was a very, I would say, very advanced consumer SLR at the time. I had to save up, the whole year of my lunch money to get it. Yeah, I was still at uni, and as you know, most students are pretty poor, myself included. So I had to save all my lunch money for the whole year to get that SLR with a kit lens. And but obviously afterward, and after a few years into photography, I getting more exposed to it, and I got other influences from other photo enthusiasts. At the time, they asked me to invest in some better glass, and that's what I did. And so I saved, well, I was working already, so I got a little bit of income, and this is easy for me to afford something a little bit nicer. So I did kind of invested in some prime lenses, and I got my very first professional zoom lens, the 24-70 2.8L Mark II, I think it was, and probably about 4 or 5 years after I got the SLR from and during uni days. So I managed to get all those stuff. So I thought, he told me that when you got those professional lenses, you will retain the values way better than other kit lenses. As a matter of fact, it is true. To a certain extent, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look at the percentage of depreciation, you are actually round about the same, maybe just a little bit better with the pro lenses. That's because the kit lenses are cheap. That's why when you sell them, you are not getting much back because they are really cheap. And so if you buy a pro lens, let's say the 24 to 70 at the time, I remember I paid about I think it was £900. I remember the first lens I got. I sold it when I switched for about, I would say about 550, so about half the price, just over half. So if you look at a kit lens that usually sell for about 120, 150, you know, if you get an unboxed version of it, because a lot of people selling new kit lenses that is bundled with their cameras and they just sell it on with brand new lenses, you can get them for about 150 and so. So but when you come to sell it, you probably get about 60, 70 quid. You know, no more than that. So if you work out a percentage, it's actually not that much difference compared to the pro lenses. Just because the figures is a lot smaller, doesn't mean that you actually lose more. I mean, obviously, when you buy more expensive stuff, and then you lose proportionally more just because you pay more for it. But if you look at the percentage, it's actually not too bad at all. So this is coming to the argument whether you should get more expensive lenses or you just stick with the kit lenses. And of course, you know that you pay what you get. Also, you get what you pay for at the end of the day, especially true in photography and camera equipment, because lenses are definitely something that you should be investing. My own opinion is that you're getting better build, better optics, and better performances. Not only just AF speed motor and the quieter operations, and it just generates a lot better in any way. So if I ever going to, like, let's say if my budget is tight and I need to invest into a system, I would first go with the lens first. You know, I wouldn't mind getting cheapo camera bodies. You know, so getting an entry-level body and then go for the better glass. That's always I would suggest people to do. And especially if you think about it, like you probably heard me reviewing EM10s and all the other like entry-level cameras. They are actually pretty capable cameras, right? You can actually take really good photos with those cameras. They may not have the fast burst rate, they may not have weather seal, they may not have like really ultra rugged construction, but they are a camera. You know, you can still control shutter speed, aperture, and things like that. You can. So as long as you can control those elements, the exposure triangle, I keep telling everybody, that means is a camera you can take picture with, and in that case, it's no problem with it. You know, I know that you want to get the latest and the best, you know, in terms of cameras and things like that. You know, want to, oh, that can do 60 frames per second, this can do this and that can do that. But in photography, nothing's going to stop you as long as you can actually click it and set those 3 elements I told you about, you're good to go. And that means save those money and get a better glass instead. So in terms of whether it's actually a proper investment in monetary terms, that can be a totally different arena there. Right, this is something that I also learned when I started playing around with Leica cameras kind of midway through my career. As any photographer probably you know, curious about the Leica world, especially it's just a bit like you're into cars. Let's say you're into cars, and everybody would probably think about, oh, you know, I wish one day I'm going to have a Porsche, I have a Ferrari, have a Lamborghini. You know, that kind of, it has a aurora is surrounding the Leica brand itself. It's just something like, ooh, it's like a dream camera. But the thing is, I mean, I've used it. I have those gears as well, and I think they produce better image quality compared to the rest of the camera brands out there. Yes and no. I mean, the optics is definitely something slightly different, but and also to do with not only just about the sharpness and everything, but also the renderings and maybe the usage of exotic lens elements that I kind of mentioned it last week. So there are a lot of things being in there. But if you're talking about the actual image quality that's coming out from it, I don't think you're actually getting that much more compared to even the entry-level cameras, and that's coming from a photographer that I worked for the last 15 years as a professional. And because a lot of people out there, if you never tell them what gear you use, they could never ever guess that it's going to be a Leica camera. And if you like, print out some pictures, hang it on the wall, you know, mix with any other brands out there, put it on the wall, I bet 99% of the people would not be able to tell at all. You know, it's just by looking at it, they only appreciate whether that camera is that picture is going to be good picture or bad picture, and that's it. You know, and that in that case, is it really worthwhile paying like 10 times more money to get a Leica lens or Leica body for that matter. And you know, this is something really that worth that much. And when it comes to resale, and also another thing though, okay, Leica may be appreciating their values every quarter, and that's the retail values here I'm talking about, because Leica has this practice now. Every 3 months they increase their price just a little bit. So every year you're getting like almost 10 to 15% price increase, and which is kind of ridiculous, to be honest, and is totally way above the inflation values. And but this, you know, they are definitely milking something, you know, from the consumers. I'm not trying to talk anything bad to them, but you can kind of tell that from their general practice and their camera terms. You know, not saying that they're really bad. I mean, look, they have invented a lot of really good rangefinders there. I still love the M cameras. They're phenomenal. Their Summilux lenses are just genuinely like absolutely out of this world. But listen to me. Why do they create a limited edition of M or lenses every 3 months? You know, and then increase the price double to get collectors to buy into it. And this is the practice that I kind of distance myself away from it now. And because first of all, it really is waste of money unless you're really a collector, and then you may want to just buy it, put it on the shelf, become a shelf queen somehow. And but you know, for majority of the people out there, photographers especially, who genuinely want to take picture, then you just get the normal version if you really want to get into Leica photography, and nothing more than that. And I don't think those limited editions are really worthwhile, to be quite honest. And secondly, when it comes to resale value, I told you about they increase the price every quarter, and so on paper, a lot of these high value lenses and cameras were appreciating superficially because they keep increasing the RRP, the retail recommended retail price, and then the second hand value, in theory, will be dragged up by the increased value because they, you know, now you can't get a brand new for that price that I saw like 6 months ago because they have increased the value. That means a second hand should theoretically gone up a little bit. It may or may not in some cases, solely depending on the seller and also the where you're going to get the gear from. But in most cases, I see that they are appreciating a little bit, but not to the same level as a brand new gear. So you can still snap up some really good deals in second hand, but again, you are definitely losing completely a big chunk of it. Like I mentioned earlier about kit lenses and professional lenses from Canon, same applies to Leica lenses. You will lose a big chunk of money. In terms of percentage, because of the brand value from Leica, you may lose less in terms of percentage-wise compared to other brands, but you're still losing quite a big chunk of it. Let's say you buy a Noctilux from Leica these days, it probably costs you just under 10 grand. Yeah, I mean British pound for a Noctilux, 50 Noctilux, 0.95. And then secondhand, you can definitely find something around about 5 to 6 grand. And so that means that if you buy it now, and you sell it like 6 months down the line, you probably lose about 2 to 3 grand, and that is a lot of money, I'm telling you. So like, unless you use that lens, unless you really use that lens, don't think that you're going to make money from it. And so unless, once again, if you so happen to have a collector edition and something special, has some sort of engraving on it, and somehow you also manage to find a collector who are desperate to looking for that particular lens or edition, you may be able to make maybe a few bucks from it. But in general, I don't think that you can get anything like a sort of like increased value back. But then again, of course, in the camera world, there's also something called the rare antiques auction. So you can actually go to Germany and find those auctions there. In fact, actually, they're all around the world. You may actually find something that completely rare, but those are extremely rare cases there. You may find like, you know, World War II M3 or something like that, and there's Leica 3G, Leica 3F, used by German company, painted, you know, completely grey, whatever, you know, have some sort of serial number that's completely like absolute rare stuff. You may actually make some money from it if you do own 1 or 2 of those stuff, because those are historic cameras, and which is slightly different to the general day-to-day special or limited edition things. You know, they don't actually possess the same values as those cameras, so it's very different, you know. And if you really want to get into making money and also looking for something that will appreciate in value terms, you really have to look for those like truly antique cameras that has some sort of special history behind it. Otherwise, the thing that normally you see on the day-to-day marketing materials, whether it's going to be Leica, Pentax, you know, Canon, even Olympus, the limited edition and this and that, I'm telling you that you probably lose money from those. But this, just generally speaking, from my experience, because I've come across quite a few, I bought quite a few in the past, and I know that they just don't have the same appreciations as some of the stuff that I've seen in auctions, where they have really proper history behind those. So this could be something you should be maybe aware of it. You know, I'm not trying to discourage you from buying them. If you do see them, if you do like this sort of special edition, for instance, and if you have the budget, go for it. You know, it's not gonna hurt you. I'm just saying that, you know, when it comes to resale, you're definitely not gonna get anything as much as you would like to, just because it says limited edition on the body or on the packaging. And so this is something I believe more like an educational thing, and also just speaking from my own experience and let you know what how I came across all this stuff, and let you know my experience from it. Like I said, if you have the money and if you know there's something that makes you happy, getting the special edition is really cool. Just like this one that I have here, you know, like I do like this, the silver version of the M1 Mark II. You know, this is, you know, Olympus is the limited edition because they don't produce a lot of this silver, and unlike the Mark I, they made both silver and black versions. But in the Mark II, you all know that you only came across the black version. The silver one did came in to celebrate the 100th year in 2019, so they only have a limited amount produced in the world. So like I have one here, and just because I like the silver, you know, more than I actually think that, you know, I'm gonna make any money from it. Potentially, I'll probably fetch a little bit of premium over the black version if I sell it now. But then the thing is, I'm not going to sell it just because I used it. I do use it to film. So this is kind of my other working camera. I just so happen to have the silver one here, and I just do like it as well. So let's see what you guys think about it, because I think it's a very interesting point for a lot of people getting into the camera market and thinking about hearing people talk about investment and getting better stuff, paying more and this and that. And so hopefully I'll give you some sense where you should be spending your money on. And let's say hi to some people as well. And good morning, Calvin. Good morning, Robin. And luxury car is bad in retaining values. And hello, good afternoon, Burana. And good morning, everybody, and Mark as well. Oh, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Mark. Wow. How are you going to celebrate? All unwanted gear appreciated. Yep, go and spend some money and maybe go and have a whiskey somewhere on the beach. You know, that would be cool. In London, it's looking absolutely horrible today, and there's nothing sunny, nothing, just a general typical British grey, dull, windy day. Not very nice. Just unlike the summer days that we had about 2 weeks ago. And Hart said usually half price from the manufacturer recommended retail price unless it's really, really limited. True, but you still basically lose money from it, even though that is really, really, really limited. And I haven't seen one used example of these limited edition stuff on the second-hand market are actually more than the actual retail original retail price. I haven't seen one that's actually more than that. So but basically you are making a loss of it, regardless how you look at it, especially if you take it to a dealer. I'm telling you now, dealer kills you. You know, you go to any camera store trying to say, I'm going to sell it to a shop, you know, and it's their usual business practices. They will obviously squash your price down to the minimum. I'm not trying to say anything bad about retailers or any dealers, only because they have to offer some sort of warranty. So they will have to make sure the lens is perfect, and they will disassemble it, they will inspect it thoroughly. So this is the price they have to incur when they take up your lens. So when you sell the lens to them, they will actually squash your price right to the minimum, and they have to make a business, right? They have to make money. So apart from inspecting, offering warranty, in addition, they have to make a little bit of markup on it. So that's why when you sell it to a dealer, you definitely won't get as much back. But as a buyer, you probably want to get it from a dealer than going for private. I'm not saying anything, I mean, unless you know some people that you always trade with, so you know them very well and you trust them. And because buying private, you have risks basically evolved by saying that it could be a lemon copy, they could be actually bad. The description doesn't say everything. You can't really always judge on descriptions or just pictures. You really have to see the item. But a lot of cases these days, especially now we have internet, we have international markets now. So a lot of people are now buying things from, let's say, from online marketplace and things like that. You really don't feel or see the item physically, and you can't inspect it. You don't know until it actually shipped to you, and by then you could be too late. You're trying to argue with them, trying to get a refund. It's going to be horrible. And that's why sometimes I prefer to go to a dealer to get the second-hand stuff, just because if I do see something nice, and even though I know I'm paying a little bit more, but I know that if anything happens or anything goes wrong, I could always go back to the dealer and talk to them. And unlike someone online, like from across the world, I won't be able to talk to them. They could simply just ignore my email and things like that, and they could never ever get anything back. So that would be the risk factor. Of course, you have to weigh out yourself whether it's worth doing it. If you do see something that is super rare that you can't find anywhere in the dealer, and obviously that's something different. But at the same time, if you're paying extreme money for it, just be careful. And okay, let's see what anything else. Who else has said? So I think camera trading is a losing proposition. Want to make a small fortune? Start with a large one. Yeah, I did make some money along the line. Not a lot of the cases, because I'm not a buy and sell guy, so I don't do that sort of thing. And but I did in some cases make some money from certain gears that I possessed. That were actually ultra rare. Is best possibly impossible to find in second-hand market. I do have some of those. I still have some of those. But for those items, I did manage to make some money, and I know people usually look for those stuff would know what they are, so they would pay accordingly. In that case, I would pay a little bit more. I don't mind, and then I'd get them. And over time, I know that those things are possibly aiming for collectors or other people who may appreciate the history behind those lenses, and they would go for it. And in that case, they would pay premium, just like I did when I first bought them. So, so this is something that I believe possibly the only stuff that you can make a little bit money on it, I guess. So it's not everything. Unfortunately, I think in most cases in the camera market, you are definitely aiming for a loss. So don't try to hit yourself too hard, when you do lose money when you come to sell it, just because it is the case, especially in digital. That's another thing I mentioned though. Digital evolutions is so different these days, and let me tell you a little bit also my history as well. Back in the film days, where I used to buy Canon Pro cameras and Pro lenses, and they did hold the values better compared to modern digital lenses. Not saying that they were any better. In fact, they were worse than today's lenses, of course, because now we have better glasses, better design, and better manufacturing in general. So like modern digital lenses are definitely better than the older lenses for sure. But in terms of looking at the resales and the amount of depreciation you get from the older lenses compared to newer lenses, I'm talking about in time, yeah, not trying to compare it now. But if you go back like 20 years ago, like even 25 years ago, these film lenses would hold the values way, way better proportionally compared to modern digital lenses. The reason is the market is now flooded with them. And that's the problem, and not only flooded with the lenses and choices, and don't forget, if you go back 25 years ago, most people were selling Nikon, Canon, Pentax, Minolta, like Olympus. These are kind of like the main brands that you were kind of trading with. And a lot of people who really use those high-end glasses are usually really are professionals or really, really serious enthusiasts. Not like today. Today is that now it becomes so popular and generalized now, and everybody owns a camera, and somehow one way or the other they will have some sort of a little bit nicer lenses, and that means also manufacturers usually bundle them as well sometimes. So like now you are absolutely flooded with all these new nice lenses around the world, from all the brands, and not only the big 4, big 5 that I just mentioned. Now you have big 10. Have so many different manufacturers now. And this is the problem. You are diluted the market so much that the value just doesn't come into it anymore, because you're just too many. There are too many to choose from. You're not really worry about not finding any of these lenses because they are absolutely everywhere. And in addition to that is that a lot of manufacturers now, especially Canon and Sony, these two guys, I mean, from my experience, is that they update the lenses too quickly. And that's another thing that I believe that what's driving the price down from the pro market and also the other premium lenses market. That look at, for example, look at Canon's 24 to 70, 70 to 200, 16 to 35 L for DSLR, not about the R system, the DSLR lenses. Right, they have done 3 versions in the last 15 years. 3 versions, yeah. In the film days, each lenses, the product cycle is you don't update your lens for 8, maybe even 10 years. That before they upgrade the lenses, only because well, I would say that that's kind of like the normal product cycle that they have for lenses. And in digital now, they shorten it so quickly, like nearly half it. Every 5 years, 4 or 5 years, they got a new lens coming out. And so what happened with people who just literally pay 1,500 quid, 1,600 quid for a new lens, and next month they bring out a new version? What happened to those lenses? Instantly, the price would drop like about 40% because the new version came out. And so that really hurts a lot of the second-hand market. And some of the people may want to upgrade. I don't know, there are people who like that, just upgrade to the latest and the best all the time. So there are people who like that, and then when they saw the new one came out, they will instantly sell the old stuff, even though it's perfectly good. The Mark II and compared to the Mark III, you probably won't notice that much ultimately, to be honest, to most people. And so they'll sell the Mark II and get the Mark III, and in that case, the Mark II suddenly is all over the place, all in the second-hand market, flooded with it, and the price will straight down to the bottom, and that's it. And that's happening all over the world with Canon and Sony, like I said, and specifically because they keep upgrading their lenses. For me, I really don't know why they would do that, especially for lenses, unless they really didn't design the lens properly or good enough to like see the increases in megapixels or better sensors performances. So I'm not entirely sure why they would just shorten the product cycle so much to the extent that just didn't really appeal to any professionals anymore. I still, when I switched from Canon to Olympus, I still use the original 70 to 200 Mark I, the very first one, even though the time when I switched it was already up to Mark III. But that's a problem. I never see a major problem with the original. I know the second and the third version are sharper, and every time they bring a new version, it's definitely going to be sharper. But the thing is, would I want to sell it and lose like 80% of my values and get a brand new versions that it may be a little bit better optically and pay like 6 times the price for it? And probably wouldn't. I mean, I'm probably different because I'm professional. I make money from photography, and I don't see me keep on paying out to upgrade unless something breaks really. And camera is different, like I mentioned. Camera is totally different because camera does have a life. The shutter will die eventually because the shutter actuation, they do have a shutter life. So once we've reached about 2 years time, 2.5 years, I know my cameras are definitely reaching the end of life. So I will have to upgrade or get a new camera just because of that. Nothing else. But lenses, I rarely sell lenses. Once I get a good one, I stick with it until it really breaks, or something that really drastically different come out, and that lens just can't cope with the newer sensors or anything like that, then I will upgrade. But in most cases, I don't really see the point of that, and that's why I also say that spend on most of your budget, get a good lens to start with, because that good lens will definitely be with you for a long time to come. So let's see what else Sia said. To all be well. Ralph, you're going out, and see you later, Ralph. And Hart, you won the Billingham Cross Olympus. I know, I got one. I have one. I do love that, and that is a rare thing. That is a really super rare thing, because you know why? The Billingham Cross Olympus Hadley Pro camera bag was a one-off, and also it was celebration for the 100th year. Not only that, you can't buy them You can't buy them not from Olympus website, not from Billingham themselves. Yeah, you have to at the time you have to buy the EM1 Mark II, and they give it to you. Ooh, that's tough. That is tough. So like, those who are fortunate enough to get the Billingham plus Olympus edition, which is completely basically it's a black Billingham Hadley Pro. It's special. That bag is special because you really can't find them anymore. And you can buy normal black Billingham, but you won't be able to buy the one with the Olympus tag on it. So that is something worth it. You know, I know there's going to be different, but again, I think if I do sell it, and I don't think I would get the same price back. You know, and this is second hand, it's a bag, and but there is a lot of I guess personal values behind it. There are a lot of personal reasons, and that will make you feel that is worth more than it is in value terms. So it's going to be really difficult in that case. But I know this is a very different bag there, Hart. And Bruana got the silver one too. You got the silver one. Ooh, yeah, doesn't it look sexy? I do like the silver EM1 Mark II. It just looks great, right? It just looks awesome. I do like it. Even because I do use this camera, so there are a little bit of scars at the corners and the bottom especially. The top looks mint, but the bottom has got a little bit of scar there. But I don't mind because I'm using this camera. But yeah, it's nice. I like the silver. I definitely like the silver too. Let's see that. And Billingham value is great. I think in camera bag terms, the Billingham does hold the values a lot better than any other camera bags out there. That's for sure. Regardless of other brands, yeah, you know, they might be owner bags. I mean, owner bags actually not too bad too. But if you look at other like Manfrotto, Jisso, even Peak Design, and if you come to selling it, you definitely lose like 60-70% of the values straight away for most bags. For Billingham, for some reasons, they tend to hold it a little bit better than any other camera bags there. Perhaps because it's just the general durabilities of the bag, I guess, because you can actually use that Billingham for decades. You know, if you don't mind the looking tatty and old, but it does last. So for a lot of people, that may be the appeal to them. So that's why I guess the Billingham tends to hold the value just a little bit better than the other bags. And not just, I'm saying it because I like Billingham. So that if you go online trying to find Billingham bags, you find second-hand bags are still actually command a little bit of money. That you can never find a dirt cheap Billingham bag. You can't find it for like £10, £20, definitely not. But you can find from other brands. I can guarantee that. But for Billingham, you won't. You know, like for let's say a Hadley Pro, the brand new is about £180 on the street price. A second hand you probably cost about, I don't know, around about 100, 110. Sometime maybe lucky get about 90 quid. So like it's still actually pretty. You know, holds the price pretty well. Even after like 6-7 years of use, you can still sell it for that sort of money. So it's actually quite amazing, actually. And and Mark, I will celebrate my new 60 macro with a K&F macro tripod. Oh, you just got the 60 macro, yeah? Oh, that's a phenomenal lens. You know, I am curious to look for that new. You know, the one I talked about on the lens roadmap, the 100mm or run about that sort of range. I'm curious to use it. I don't think I'll buy it, but the 60 is definitely one to keep. The 60 macro is phenomenal. You know, it's a versatile lens, lightweight, small, weatherproof. You can't argue. You know, like it's really phenomenal. And hello there. Show us your lens. Show you my lens collection. I think I did some Instagram post, and I don't know if I did that actually. I do have a lot, and I don't think I can lay it out all on my table here. But I do have a lot of Micro Four Thirds stuff, and I do have some Leica stuff. All my Canon stuff, unfortunately, is sold, apart from maybe 1 or 2 lenses left. And I have another one, some of the really ultra rare German and also French lenses, which are actually cool. I also have other smaller formats like 110 cameras. I have the whole set of lenses as well. There are about like 12 of them. Yeah, I do have a fair amount. I mean, it's been kind of collected over time. You know, I've been in the industry for like 20 years, well, 15, 18 years now, since the very first day I stepped into photography. So it's been a long time. So over time, I accumulate them. So I do have a fair amount there. And hard value for me is not money, about history and, as you said, personal value. Yep, I totally agree with you. But I know there are people misunderstand the value terms of investment, especially because that's how I kind of got educated when I first started photography, and especially people who influenced me into photography and getting better glass and things like that. They always tell me investment in monetary terms. So like it's all about values and resale kind of thing. And but obviously over all these years, and I found out it's actually not the case, and in most cases you actually do lose them more than making them, unless you do get the ultra, like I said, ultra rare with history behind it. Then it's different, and I do have a couple of them, so those I may not want to part of, unless I needed the money, of course, and something I might pass on to my kids if they ever want to take up photography as a hobby or something. If not, then yeah, maybe I'll sell them at one point. I don't know, it depends. And piranhas, yes, I got a lot of scars. I think you talk about the Billingham. Oh, my Billingham got loads of scars, especially the one that I actually lost. Yeah, someone stole my Billingham, and 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago now, I think. It was really sad because that bag was so tatty. You know, it's got holes everywhere. I used it for so many years. It's been around the world with me. And I really, truly treasure that bag. It's got a lot of, like you mentioned, Hart, you know, it's a lot of value, personal values, personal memories about the bag itself. So I really, really, you know, love that thing. And some, you know, horrible person took it from me. You know, when I was in a club meeting other people, I just put my bag, literally just put it down. Turn around, gone, completely gone. And lucky I took my camera out. I had the EM5 at the time, and lucky I took the camera out to take some pictures in the party. And so I lost just some cash that my client paid me for the job that I did. So I lost that basically, and I lost I think some other accessories. Lucky, not something that is very valuable in that terms. Well, the most valuable thing for me was the bag, and well. Yeah, maybe the money as well. But like I said, you know, not just about the money though, isn't it? The bag was like really a lot of memories behind it. So I was feeling more sad about the bag than the money in the bag. And Hart, your thing is 7 years now, still look like new. I have a couple of bags, a couple of Billinghams that still look new, even though they're about 10 years old. Because that bag, I don't use it daily. I use it for big job sizes. They're bigger Billingham. So like I put lots of stuff in it for transit. So I use it for transit. So I don't kind of like it's not my daily bag, not my daily driver, so I don't take it out for street photography or any other thing. The one that I use daily are usually the Eventer that I use. You've probably seen that bag before. I love that bag, and I use it almost daily for that particular thing. And I also use the Hadley Pro and the new one, the Hadley 2020. I love that bag as well. So I do have a fair amount of Billinghams for different things. And now, because I have so many, I now have different system in different bags. So one bag I may have the 2020, the Billingham 2020. I use it for drones. I put my drones in. I put a Mavic Pro in it, and all the batteries and remote control. It fits really nicely. And then I have the Eventer, usually for my work thing. So I have the EM1 Mark III, the 40-150, and a couple of other lenses on it. They still have plenty of space for putting a big iPads in it, and also other wallets, spare battery, you name it. Everything will just shove into the front pockets. So that is a really good spacious bag for me, and while not being too big, it's just enough. And other things I'll use it for depending on what sort of situation I'm going for. If I want a compact, really compact thing, I'll use my Hadley Small Pro. I still have the Hadley Small, actually. I still have it, and so I still have two of them. Yeah, they're really good. And the rucksack, I love the Billingham 25. It's just unique. I love that look of it. I just think it's actually pretty awesome looking, right? Okay, anyway, so hopefully this is some interesting topic today, and hopefully you kind of took some notes for what I said about investments, and don't get too discouraged about buying nicer lenses. Even though that I said that proportionally you will be losing more money, and you're not really making money. But don't get discouraged by that. You still need a nice lens to accompany your nice camera. And if you want really good quality, image quality coming out from your camera, you still need a really good glass. So judge it by yourself, but don't get too disheartened by what I just said. But just don't hope that you're going to recoup everything you pay for those lenses ultimately. So yeah, just some educational talk about today. Nothing much about discouraging you to buy anything nice. And like I said, if you can afford it, go for it. And especially in lenses, like I said, like all the way along there, you do get what you pay for. So like if you want ultimate performances, optically and like AF speed and construction in general, you will get the most of it from the higher and better lenses that they charge you a premium for. So that's it, right? And hopefully you get it. Okay, so I've got a couple of comments here before end. Funny, EM1 users want the silver version, the Pen F users want the black version, and I have the black EM1 silver. I have the complete opposite to you, mate. I have the where is it now? I have this silver EM1 Mark II and the black Pen F. And so this is something that I do agree with you, but I do want at some point maybe a silver version of Pen F as well, because then I can have twins. Because like I said, I do like this guy. Yeah, I do like the Pen F, and I wouldn't mind having both silver and black. Just put them side by side. Even if I go out for a street photography shoot, if I want to have two focal lengths together, like let's say one with the 12, one with the 25, so I can have two bodies there, that would be awesome, right? That would be cool. That reminds me of the good old days when I used to use film cameras. You know why people use 2 to 3 cameras when they go out, especially for pros? Is that because in the film days we can't change ISO, yeah? It's not like now we can hit a button and change the ISO fairly quickly, instantly, in seconds. In the old days you can't. You're stuck with the film speed, So if you have a 200 film in the back body, in the body, you're stuck with the 200 until the roll is finished, unless you want to prematurely ejaculate the film out. Shit, I'm talking rubbish. But you're stuck with the 200, yeah. So like that's why people used to carry 2 to 3 cameras, even 3. Yeah, I'm talking about. So they have 200, 400, and 800 films, or maybe black and white film on one body. So like they have options to choose. Not like now. That's why like digital has changed the whole world of photography, and it is definitely more portable compared to the old days now. And because I remember when I had my SLR, and I literally had to finish off my one film. Let's say I'm walking around all day and suddenly it's becoming sunset, so I know I need faster film. So I still have a 100 in my body, so I have to quickly finish that roll so I can use another film for, let's say, 400 at night time. So it's really getting tricky. So like nowadays we are definitely spoiled with digital technologies now. That's pretty interesting to me. At least I've seen the changes. That's why. So cool stuff. Anyway, so I hope you guys find it relatively interesting today, and hope you guys maybe learn a thing or two. If not, shoot me. Anyway, I'm just joking, and I will be back again tomorrow between 11 to 11:30 BST London time. Today a little bit late because I went out to do some food shopping this morning. That's why I don't want to rush it, and so I'm able to make it half an hour later. So hopefully you guys don't mind. I was a little bit late. Anyway, this is all good. Tomorrow I'm going to back on normal time, 11 to 11:30 BST. That will be all good. And also Wednesday I'm going to have a brand new topic on my YouTube. So I'm waiting to start a new conversation there. Hopefully this week will be as interesting as last week. I know last week I did 2 YouTube live, which is unheard of. I never done 2 live stream on YouTube because it's just crazy, right? And yeah, it's taking a lot of time off me, and I have to talk a little bit, but I don't mind. I'm happy. I'm also quite animated when I talk about photography, anything to do with camera and lenses in general, because I'm just into it. So cool stuff. I will see you guys tomorrow, and you guys take care and be safe, right? Okay, and I'll see you all later. Bye for now.